Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. This is Walking Between the Raindrops, and we're going to help you navigate a bunch of different things in life. But let's start from the beginning. It's a beginning of a new year. Part of that is your New Year's resolution. Hypnotherapy can be very helpful for that, and lots of other modalities as well. She's a master alchemist, and she's back with us. Debbie Unterman on the program. Debbie, welcome. How you doing?
I am having a very good start to my year.
Did you have a resolution?
I don't do them because I resolve every day really to be the best me that I can be. I'm always learning, always studying. Right now, I'm deep diving into astrology.
Oh, I love astrology. Don't know a lot about it, but let's put it this way. We just ended a Mercury retrograde about 24 hours ago. We're still in the post phase. And that's indicative of some tech issues we already had today. So
that's right. That's right. You're right on. Look at that. You're in sync with the universe. At least you didn't have a car breakdown.
Don't wish that.
No, I heard that they were happy that mechanics were actually corroborating in December that there were more than usual.
Really? Okay. Yeah. For those of us that don't believe or haven't really accepted the Mercury retrograde, there you go. I never even thought of that. How people in the tech world are sitting there like, oh, yes, another one's coming out. This is going to be great. We're going to make some extra money today. Oh, or in 2 weeks, 3, whatever it's going to be. Interesting. Huh. For you in terms of, and I love the way you look at that you're evolving every day. You're working on yourself every day instead of just picking, the beginning of the year. Do you have things in the back of your head that you want to work on, but you're not going to set the exact goal for it in a resolution? I'm getting in the mind of an alchemist.
I can't even think right now of that because I have so many tools. I'm constantly looking at not only my chart, but what's happening in the stars these days. I'm picking cards from decks that I own that really seem to give me good advice. And then as part of, I even bought a new astrology book. Yes, it came yesterday. Jan Spiller, and it's about the North and South nodes, which I'm really deep diving into because Jan Spiller is an astrologer I really respect. She even talks about this thing that I've never heard anyone but her talk about, and it is the eclipse. At this, we always know that there's eclipses going on about every 6 months, I think. So therefore, we have lunar eclipses, solar eclipses. Therefore, during every 9 months of pregnancy, there was a solar eclipse, at least one solar eclipse, at least one lunar eclipse. And in her book, it's called Spiritual Astrology, and Jan Spiller with, I think, Liz Green. It's the only book I know that does this. And if you look at my copy, it looks like hell because I've turned the pages so many times. I've made so many notes. I've looked up all my friends and clients just about. This is something I do because, get this. And so I can't tell anybody else what theirs is, but you have to look it up in the book. So the solar eclipse that happened while you were in your mother's womb is what you are here to teach. The lunar eclipse that happened while you were in the womb is what you're here to learn.
Interesting.
And it is very interesting. It is. And I can tell you about mine. The very interesting thing, because since I've been doing this checking it out for something like 25 years, I think I've been checking these out. There is the slight possibility, I read the book to know this because even some astrologers don't know this, that, and it's really complicated when you're looking in the book, that if between the time that you had your lunar eclipse, if there are 2 solar eclipses before you were born, which it happens that it happened in my life, you're teaching 2 things. I am here to teach 2 things and learn 1. So since I'm the only example I can talk about, I'll keep talking because I find it very interesting.
Oh, I
and
do
it
too.
really tracks with my life.
It's for anybody that looks at astrology and says, "Yeah, how could it be?" I have in my journey have learned that it's basically the timeline of your life. It's not like it's, some magical prediction. It is just the timeline. So things have happened, things will happen, things are happening. Somebody told me, an astrologer from Australia, Maggie Kerr, Maggie Kerr, she told me last year in February that I would see more abundance in November of last year, and she was spot on. And, and I didn't think of it until it was November. I'm like, wait a minute, Maggie said that. So there's a lot of validity. Now, when you talk
Good.
about the solar eclipse and the learning and the teaching, does it show you what it's going to be, what you're going to teach, what you're going to learn? Does it give you any insight on that?
Kind of. Let me tell you what my two things that I'm here to teach. It's very interesting. Um, Cancer is one that happens to be my sun sign too. So I am here to teach Cancer, which is like emotional intelligence and feelings.
Hmm.
But the interesting part of what it tells me, and this is true, and it was true for me, and this is what I wrote my book for, is I was not so in touch with my emotions at first in my life. I was, but they hurt me. I put all my emotions, I didn't feel, instead I had stomach aches. I couldn't feel them because I was too busy trying to think my way through life. And I was literally in the hospital in 6th grade at
Wow.
Mass General for unknown stomach aches. That's how much my feelings were not being addressed. I would just push past them and pretend I'm fine. I'm a
Can I,
good little girl.
can
I'm
I ask
doing
you
everything I'm supposed to do.
can I ask you a question about that? Do you
Yeah.
think do you think it was because they say, and we talked about this before, many things in your early childhood dictate the future. Do you think they were potentially suppressed your emotions from your upbringing? Because it's perfectly, I don't want to say normal, but it's a regular kind of thing where a parent says, "Stop crying, stop it, you'll be all right. Stop, stop,
Yeah.
stop." It sounds like,
Yeah.
that could have been part of it.
Because I didn't want to be a crybaby. One of the lines I heard from my father was, "I'll give you something to cry about."
Classic line.
You
And
know,
it's not just your dad. Many dads have said that.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, and so I couldn't stop him from hurting me, but I could stop crying. And interesting when you say about childhood, and this is what I spend my life doing, is going back and trying to figure things out. And that kind of tracks with what I'm saying about my Cancer solar eclipse,
Sure.
is I've used my head to learn how to get into my emotions, if that makes sense.
You
And
use your head
that's,
to get into your emotions. Let me think about that
yes,
for a second. So you, you are you talking that's how you do it now?
that's how I had to do it through the years. And
Okay.
that's what I wrote my book about, talking to myself, learning to love the voices in your head, because the biggest voice usually in anybody's head is the judge critic, telling you that you're wrong, that you're stupid, that you can't do anything right. So you have to learn where that voice comes from. And you can tell with my father saying, "Shut up, I'll give you something to cry about," that could be a little bit of a judgment there, and it
Sure.
can definitely suppress an emotional kid. So what the solar eclipse tells me is I am going to be able to help other people who are stuck in their heads to get into their emotions. Now, I didn't learn this until I'd been going through this for, let's see, if I probably 10, 12 years, at least 10 years, a decade of going through all this before I knew this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm
When did you
supposed to be
realize
doing.
that? How far back did you realize that your purpose, that was part of your purpose?
That when I read this Cancer solar eclipse.
Like
But
recently?
not only that, this is really interesting too, because before I knew that, what it says is I am so good taking on listening to other people's emotions and letting them go through me. I don't think this was the exact word in the book, but I call myself an emotional garbage can. I can be that garbage disposal to take on people's emotions, and they don't bother me the way. And I don't know, you're not from California. I don't know if you know about saging. Have you heard of saging a room?
Are you
To
kidding?
clear
I'll walk 10 feet, not even. I'll get a stick of sage and a lighter and I'll prove it to you. Like they're right over there.
is everybody else in the world is like, oh my God, there's so many bad, feelings in here. The energy is so negative. We got to stage a room. It doesn't bother me at all.
Hmm.
I can sleep in the room where people have been processing, and I sleep like a baby, and
Wow.
everybody's crying and getting angry and you're hitting
Oh
pillows.
my
And
gosh. On the flip side of you're like Superwoman. I I know somebody who's a nurse and she doesn't say that she's an empath. I know she's an empath, but
oh,
she'll work 2 days and she needs to take a day off. She always has to have a third day off because of everything, all the emotions she deals with in the nursing profession. And part of that is she deals with in-home patients that are very critical. So she it's like her friends, truly like her friends. And it just eats away at her physically. She has stomach issues, lots of issues because she can't push that energy away.
I was born with that. I didn't know it, but I just knew that I didn't care about all this mumbo jumbo about bringing in all the angels and clearing the rooms. And it's like,
Wow.
I'm fine. But it does bother other people, and they do have to learn how to let that go, because
Yeah.
you can't make your body, if you don't know how to let it go, to ground it and take care, or have like a mirror shield around you so that
Hmm.
everything goes back to where it came from and you're protected. She needs some
Sure.
techniques. She is doing self-care by taking a day off every 2 days,
Right.
but she needs some techniques.
Yeah. I
And
totally agree. And she's very stubborn. She's an Aries, very hard to talk to. And tell her, what you think she
yeah,
should be doing. But yeah, it's all there. I just want to share with everyone. We talked about resolutions. If you're struggling with something, you have any questions on how to get through a resolution, work through it, reach out, instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. Okay. Back to Debbie, back to your, I guess, call it a revelation with the astrology. What else did you learn about you being somebody who is supposed to learn, like we all do? And uh, that was with the lunar eclipse, correct?
no, this is the solar eclipse, which I am double solar
Okay.
eclipse. So on the one hand, I'm teaching cancer and helping people who are stuck in their heads like me. See, I divide us up into all these different characters, all these different parts. And if I can realize that that judge inside of me isn't really necessarily part of me trying to hurt me, but I have to push it back out and find my own inner judge who's much kinder than the voice of my father growing up. At 97, my father has become very mellow and kind.
Mm.
So the dad I'm talking about is not the one that people would meet right now when they meet Lewis.
Well, maybe
But
he had that realization. And,
yeah,
I guess, is it fair enough to say that, when he said those things, like many fathers say, you're going to cry, I'll give you something to cry about. It didn't, I don't believe, I don't know him, but I don't believe he intentionally wanted to invoke something on you. It's just one of those things that parents say. I don't know. I mean, I've heard it,
The disruption, I'm sure, in in his house, it's like
yeah,
quiet,
right. Yeah. I think I heard it too, to be honest with you. I think my mom used to say that, but whatever. Um,
Yeah.
so you had
So
that
let me
realization.
tell you,
Sure.
the other thing that I'm teaching is Aquarius. Aquarius, that I've learned from this astrology book that, with the solar eclipse, is about setting limits. And that's very interesting because boundaries and limits are something that I believe a lot of people need to have and don't. They kind of spill all over the place. They don't know how to say no, how to put parameters around themselves, between themselves and others. And I'm here to also help people with those. I
Wow.
had to learn them myself. But so that's the two things I'm teaching. But what I'm learning, and this is it just amazes me every time because I go through this book and I see all these terrible things that some people have to learn. You got to learn poverty or something. You got to learn how to be more generous. You're going to have trouble with this. I'm here to learn Leo, which means love. I need to learn to accept being loved. That's my lesson in life. So
Hmm.
I'm like, thank God I got something good in there. That's all, which was hard for me because codependency is one of my issues that I've gotten really good at teaching other people and having to get out of, because I had to crawl out of being that rescuer caretaker that just listened to everybody else's problems, but there was no one there for me. And so I need to learn to really be loved, not just to see others and kind of have blinders and not see into me and let people walk all over me because I love them so much and I see who they really are and I can look past their faults. Well, F that.
Well, guess what? I think you're describing me in many ways. So it's like an aha moment here. Uh, I would love to do that and figure that out if my lessons are similar to yours or whatever they might be based on. So how is that done? Are you looking at your
Easy. All I need is your birthday. I'm looking for something to write on. Okay, so
I'm afraid to find out what we might find out here.
I can't do it while we're on right
Well, you know what?
now
Then I'll
because
I'll I'll message you. I'll give it to you.
message me. You don't want to tell
Yeah.
anybody your birthday. Okay. Oh, you
No,
don't
and you
want
know
to know
what? It
how
might take
old
too
you are,
long.
right?
It might take too long, and we have somebody
Okay.
checking in. Let's see.
Oh,
This is Trish from San Jose, California, and says, you mentioned hypnotherapy. I'm trying to lose weight and have been struggling with it for some time. Can hypnotherapy help me? And do you have any advice?
I'm an alchemical hypnotherapist. We obviously have clients who have weight issues. Some smokers, I see a lot more people for weight than for smoking.
Really?
I don't like to look at it as a habit to attack front on. I like to go through the back door.
Okay.
I like to talk about other things because eating, there's so many reasons. In fact, in
Well,
our workbook,
are you saying it's a symptom? That's why you're
it
looking at it as it's a symptom of something else, and you need to reverse engineer it to figure out what it is.
it is, and we even go into the part that wants the food, that likes the food and wants to eat, and the part that I don't want to say wants, needs the protection, the weight,
Hmm.
because that's different. There are so many different reasons. Our book has something like 10 pages. It's a whole day lecture practically to just lecture on all the different protocols to do with losing weight. It's not that simple. We
Hmm.
have to go through the underlying issues, like I say, for the one who likes to eat and the one that may need the protection. And so Trish is not on the phone with me. I can't ask her this, and it's not something that I want to necessarily bring up, but just for the fact that it is very important. The fact is, a lot of women, especially, and men, have been abused. And you can sometimes see the shape of where the extra weight is. If it's around the groin, the pelvis, what would that be? A pear shape, I guess. There is a chance that there was protection put on there by the trauma, because of the trauma, in order to protect. And in that case, that's why I say go around the back door. Because I always say, you use crutches while your leg is broken. As soon as your leg is healed, you put the crutches down. You don't keep using them. So we sometimes, people think it's the food, the calories, the gluten. There's so many things that people can think has to do with the weight. And some people, no matter what they do, are not losing it. Sometimes they even will yo-yo, but I'm not talking about yo-yo dieting. I'm talking about getting so slim. And I don't want to equate slim with attractive, but let's say taking on men's attention. And I'm not saying this has anything to do with Trish. I'm just saying there's so many reasons for weight. And sometimes as men's attention start coming to us, we say, we unconsciously say, ooh, let's pad a little more. We don't want this attention. Danger, danger.
What you're saying is it's amazing, and it's very clear. And I love the way you approach it, Debbie, where there are others who may use a modality to help somebody lose weight. Maybe it's hypnotherapy, but you go way deeper.
Yes.
A hypnotherapist, even a good one, might take somebody back to kind of identify some things, but it's almost the difference between a police officer that rolls up on a crime scene and somebody who's a deep investigator, and that's you, a detective. Thank you.
Yes.
Wow.
One of the lines I use for myself is private eye for the soul.
And it shows, and there's so many reasons for what you just, we share a lot. I was a chubby kid. I was bullied. So guess what? And that's, elementary school. I hit my 20s. I had a 28-inch waist by then. People would look at me and say, "Are you okay? Are you sick?" Because I went from to that. And then I slowly, gained weight back to a normal, but I took it way, and I wasn't even trying, but I guess subconsciously I was. And it's always, I guess, you know what? I guess so. And I never even thought of it that way, but you're 100% right. Never even thought of it that way. Yeah. And when you struggle with weight from a young age, it's always on your mind. Even, you could be a few pounds, maybe higher than you should be or want to be, but you see yourself in a different way. We talked about that, appearance and things like that. But thanks for bringing that up for Trish. I mean, the best thing is have her reach out to you and have the soul investigator dig in.
Wonderful, because then I could really start investigating. There are so many different reasons. And like I say, just to divide it up, just that one little division between, do you eat for the pleasure of the food, or do you eat unconsciously? And maybe it's because there's a part of you in there. And sometimes it's even a punishment. There's even a saboteur in there that is punishing you with food. There's so many different reasons.
Or you're punishing yourself. Maybe there's, right?
Stuffing. How about stuffing things that you haven't said to people that need to be said? And so think of all the ways that we ingest, smoke, drink, push things down. And they also have to do with sucking, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're sucking on a bottle, you're sucking on a cigarette.
The cessation, right?
Like being a baby, not getting the nourishment you needed as a baby. Maybe you're still looking for mother's milk. Why do we like sweet things? I love ice cream. I was not breastfed. I believe I'm looking for mother's milk in ice cream.
Wow. And I wish I could ask my mom if I was breastfed. You know what? I don't think I was. And I love ice cream. Like I went to Wendy's the other day and they were giving away free Frosties. I'm like, give me that. So maybe there's something there. This goes so, I wish we're out of time. I could go forever because there's so many different things that we learn from you, Debbie, that we realize in ourselves, and it just shows how complex we are. But what's refreshing about you is you make it easy to understand. It's not so deep and clinical. You get right to the point, and you say things that we can apply immediately and have some aha moments in our lives for all of us. And now it's astrology you're on, which is fantastic.
I know. And my astrology that I'm learning about me is I am here to do that.
Well, I like we said in the beginning for astrology, it's almost as if it's just reinforcing what is happening. It's you're already doing it. Now you're realizing why you're doing it because it's on your astrological timeline.
I'm in the right place, doing the right thing.
Right.
And that's again, that getting in the flow, the walking between the raindrops.
Yeah.
The going beyond beliefs, of I'll give you something to cry about. No, tears are healing.
Yeah.
They're the truth. When something brings tears to your eyes, it's like chills, or, you're feeling truth. So
one of the best things, as I've learned, and people say it more and more as I talk to people like you, one of the best things you can do is cry.
Yeah.
We're designed to purge. You can't keep it all inside. You have to. It's just the way it is. And if you don't, you're going to run into challenges. Go beyond belief.
A closed container. We've got to get it out. So we have a few ways of getting it out. Tears are one of the nicer ways.
It's there for a reason. Why do you think we cry?
Right. The only mammal that has tears that mean something. They say there's one other. I think it's a monkey, some form of monkey, or elephants, but they don't mean emotions when they tear.
It's
That's
probably
another. I just love these tidbits. Like I'm always picking.
I forgot about that one, and I believe elephants, it's just to irrigate their eyes. They're not crying for emotion.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, fantastic stuff. GoBeyondBeliefs.com. Go to the website, learn some more, and start the process to some change, even if it's a New Year's resolution, whatever it might be. Debbie, fascinating talking with you.
I talk to anybody for 15, 20 minutes for free. See where I'm at.
Look at it this way. We talked for just about a half hour. Look what was learned, within ourselves, and the clues to, a lot of stuff right there. Deb, looking forward.
Trish, and I was not trying to project anything onto her. So if that not relevant, just throw it away.
Well taken, but it just goes to illustrate there's more there, and you need to get to there to really figure out what it is. Yeah. Always great. I'll email you my birthday, and maybe we have something to talk about next time. All right.
Good.
All right, Debbie. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Steve. I'll see you next week.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.